Alright, so we've seen two examples so far. I'm going to show you my last one here that's just a little bit different. You've seen, like I said, two so far, and kind of seen the same thing on both of them, where we're looking for the zeros and the undefineds in the numerator and the denominator. And then using those, we can make our number line, and we can plug those in, and we can pick numbers that are in between them, plug them in, and check to see whether we get a positive or negative result. So, for example 3 here, this one's going to be sort of similar to number 2, and this one's going to be very similar to the last problem on your homework. So if you get stuck on that problem, come back and check this video out again and reference that to help you out. So here's what we're going to try: 10x plus 7 divided by x minus 4 is less than 3. Okay. So, just like the last one and the previous one, I've been telling you to check for this. Make sure off the bat that the right side of the inequality is equal to 0, okay? Which it's not here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to subtract 3 from both sides, okay? And then what you'll see is from here, this is very similar to number 2. Okay, the only thing that's different on this one is this second term is not a fraction. It has an invisible denominator of 1. Which actually makes the problem a little bit easier for us, because that means the common denominator between these is just x minus 4. Okay, so this first fraction is actually going to stay the same. It already has the common denominator, but this second fraction, which is 3 over 1, it needs an x minus 4. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply an x minus 4 on the bottom, and I'm going to multiply an x minus 4 on the top. And all of that's going to be less than 0. Once we get to here, now these have common denominators. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on the same fraction. Okay, the top of this first fraction is not changing at all, because we didn't need to do anything to that fraction to get the common denominator. But on the second fraction, we need to go ahead and distribute this 3, but remember there's a negative in front of it. So when we distribute, we're really distributing a negative 3. So negative 3 times x gives me a negative 3x, and then a negative 3 times a negative 4 gives me a positive 12. Okay, and then we can go ahead and combine our like terms on the top. 10 minus 3 gives us a 7x, and 7 plus 12 is 19. So when we're done, we get 7x plus 19 divided by x minus 4. That is all less than 0. So when we come over here, we're making our little list, our zeros. From the top, we're going to get 1, 0. It's x equals negative 19 over 7. And then on the bottom, for our undefined value, that would make me divide by 0. I get x equals 4. Okay. So fortunately for us on this one, we only have to test two total values. Or sorry, we have two zeros and undefined, so we're actually only going to have to test 3 total values. Okay, so let's start out. Negative 19 over 7. And then we've got a 4 over here. Okay, now negative 19 over 7, if you're trying to estimate that, that is somewhere in between negative 2 and negative 3. 7 goes into 19 2 times with a little bit left over. So that's negative 2 point something. A little note here, negative 2-ish. So we're going to go ahead and pick a number to the left. We'll call it negative. We'll pick negative 3. In between these, we'll pick 0. Sorry, x equals 0. And then off to the right here, we'll pick x equals 5. And just like before, we're going to go ahead and plug these in, and we're going to see what happens when I do this. Do I get a positive answer, or do I get a negative answer? So let's try negative 3. If I pick negative 3, 7 times negative 3 is negative 21 plus 19. That is a negative number. And then on the bottom, negative 3 minus 4 also gives us a negative, so a negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, if I pick 0, that should be easy. That's going to give me positive 19 over negative 4, so positive divided by negative is a negative. And then if I pick 5, 7 times 5 is 35, plus anything is going to give me a positive, as long as I'm adding a positive number. And then on the bottom, 5 minus 4 is positive 1, so positive divided by positive gives me a positive. Okay. So last but not least, if I'm going to go and I'm going to put this in interval notation, I am looking for numbers here that are less than 0, meaning they would be negative. So if I look at my number line here, I'm looking for the negative numbers, which would be anything in between negative 19 over 7 and positive 4. Okay, so I'm putting open circles there because we're not including them. And this would be the interval for my solution. So if I put that in interval notation, I'm going to go from negative 19 over 7 up to 4, and both of these are going to have parentheses. Okay, there is my final answer to this particular problem. Again, this is very similar to the last problem on your homework. So take a look at this example again if you get stuck on the last problem.